What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. If we're going to run with the Outcast comparisons to Ray Streamer, and we shouldn't too deeply, this is very surface level comparison. I would have to say that Swae Lee is definitely the Andre 3000 of the group, where Slim Jimmy is more straightforward with the raps, akin to Big Boy. I feel like Swae Lee is more experimental. He's able to combine his rapping, his singing, and his infectious hooks, melodies, and all of that. Like, to combine that together in a way that Andre 3000 would. Andre wasn't afraid to try something different. I mean, we got The Love Below. For Swae Lee's solo debut album, Swaecation, this is what everybody has been anticipating from him. I feel like he was able to capture exactly the right amount of hype, the right level of what he could potentially do as a solo artist. This is a solo album that showcases his biggest strength while also not relying on a lot of guest features. That's the good thing about Ray Streamer and this album, as well as Shrimp Life 3 and Jimtro. It's all one big package, but there's not a lot of guest features. And so for the Swaecation portion, you have Young Thug on a record called Offshore, and then you have another guest appearance from his Ray Streamer other half. What I love about Swaecation is the subject matter is real relatable, and it's something that I personally always enjoy listening to. Love, romance, dating, a little bit of heartbreak, it's all there. Swae Lee really has this voice that can draw anybody in and keep them there with his melodic hooks, like on Heat of the Moment, or my absolute favorite, What's in Your Heart. Matter of fact, I would go as far as to say that the last three songs on Swaecation, Hurt to Look, Red Wine, and What's in Your Heart, is the best 3-song stretch on this entire album. Just the entire project. I'm talking about including both other sides. Like all 3 albums, this is the best 3-song stretch. I really listen to these songs over and over again, a lot more than anything else on the album, and I've come to the conclusion that they're just flawless records. Red Wine is giving me like some serious R&B vibes, and not just because of his voice, but because of his cadence and his ability to say so much with less words. There's not a lot of words on this song. If you were to read it, you would think, how is this a long song? But it's the way he stretches the words out. It's the way that he constructs them line by line. It's not just read this line. There's more to it. Now, I can't sing, and the only singing that I want to do is off camera, but I really love like the last part of Red Wine when he's like, this love got you borderline crazy. I crashed on your shore, and now let's move forward. I think that really ends the record on a high note, one that gives you a lot to go off of just visually. Like it feels like when you replay those words in your head that there's a lot to unravel right there. Now, I didn't love everything on Swaecation. I feel like Guatemala is trying too hard to recapture the magic of French Montana's Unforgettable. It's got that same vibe to it, and not to say that this is a bad record, but once you have comparisons to something, it's hard to shake those. And comparisons absolutely hurt an artist. So if there was no Unforgettable, I feel like this record, Guatemala, would stand a little bit better on its own. And the more that I listen to it, the more that it is growing on me. Since we're on the subject of weaker songs, Lost Angels is the one song on here that I would actually get rid of. Like straight up just delete it out of the track listing. With this record, Swae Lee adopts this deeper tone than he's had on the rest of the project. And that's not even like the worst part of it. Like, that is definitely something that stood out to me. But the biggest problem with Los Angeles is that it feels like there's this competition between the lyrics and the beat. It's like the beat is trying to drown out the lyrics are trying their hardest to stay afloat. So I'm listening and I'm like, what is he saying? Like, I'm honestly listening and I can't get some of the words because the beat seems to be overpowering. And lastly, I just felt like it kind of disrupts the flow of the album. Because before that, you have Guatemala. And after that, you have Hurt to Look. And these are more upbeat records. This one, Lost Angels, is a lot more slower. So I think if you were to get rid of that and have Guatemala and Hurt to Look, like it gives you an even better, album. At least sequencing wise. What's noticeable about all three albums, especially Swaecation, is that there is not a lot of music on here, but it's enough for a label like Interscope to push this music for a while. There's no reason why Ray Streamer should have to rush and put out any more albums for at least a year. And most likely we're not going to get any more music from them this year. I mean, when you look at Shrem Life 2 and what came after that, it took a very long time. It was over a year and a half before we got a follow-up. So when it comes down to it, I think Interscope needs to push this music. I think as artists, Ray Streamer did everything that they could to give listeners quality over quantity and do so in a way that will attract audiences. Like, fans are going to love this music, and then it gives Interscope the opportunity to push some of these songs. What's in Your Heart is a record that should be on the radio. Red Wine, I love it, but I don't know if I would push that as a single. Maybe Offshore featuring Young Thug, shorten it a little bit because it's over 5 minutes. But ultimately, you can pretty much go down the track listing and take a pick. There's honestly endless potential among all three albums. And one of the things that I had feared, and I still kind of fear this, because I don't know what we're going to see in the future, but is that Swae Lee's solo album, like all the potential that's there for it to really flourish and get pushed to radio and, to get on the Billboard charts, top 40, all the different hits. Like, I felt putting out all this music at one time is going to hinder that. Hinder it for Ray Streamer, hinder it for Slim Jimmy, and it remains to be seen what the long-term plan is. I do believe that Swaecation lived up to the potential and the hype that was surrounding it. So those are my thoughts on Swae Lee's solo album, Swaecation. I also did a review for Ray Streamer's Shrem Life 3. I'll include that in the description as well in the comments so you could check that out. I'll be doing Slim Jimmy's album next. So subscribe to the channel if you're not, because you're going to want to peep that one as well. I want to hear from you now. I want to hear from your thoughts on this album. What did you think about Swaecation? Did it live up to your expectation? Are you disappointed? Talk to me in the comment section below, and then like the video. I already said subscribe, but I'm going to say it again. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Share the video. Follow me on Twitter at Sermons Domain. And as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching. And until next time, peace.